Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I have a mass-producing quickie video for you, so get comfy and let's get crafty. So I will be stamping with this Simon Says stamp, a Take Note stamp set. I'm creating 3 back-to-school cards using the 3 major sentiments from this stamp set, along with the larger of the stamps in this set. I am stamping on Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I'm using my Misty Stamp Positioner and the sticky mat because the stamp is wider than the card panels, and I want to make sure I can put the stamp where I want it. I'm also creating landscape cards, so I'm flipping my Misty around to put the paper in on that sticky mat, and I'm remembering that it's lined up on 1 inch away from the pink side at the 7-inch line because, again, I'm stamping 3 card panels. I'm going to stamp them in Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink because this is a Copic marker coloring tutorial, and that is a alcohol marker friendly ink. I know it is supposed to be Crime and Coloring Monday, but we went through all of the 50 states. And we're going to chat about that as I color. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to ink up this stamp in the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I did stamp the image 2 times on all 3 panels. I think I need to get the refill for my ink pad. It is kind of drying out a bit. I edited that out because, if I tell you that I did it, then you know. That is one of the best things about a stamp positioning tool, is that if your ink pad is dry and you don't get those crisp, clean images that you like, you can restamp with no problems. I am stamping the main sentiment onto the panel, each one at a time, and that does require a little bit of stamping trickery. Because it is a solid image stamp, I want it to be a nice, crisp, black, bold stamp. So I'm going to use my Versaclear Nocturne Black ink. Now, the reason that requires some trickery is because this is not an alcohol marker friendly ink. So if I get any of this Versaclear ink onto my pens and pencil school supply things, it's going to smear when I color it. So I went in with the ink pad on the corner. I flipped my Misty around. See, flipping it around. Trying to decide how to do it. And I just used the corner of that ink pad. Now that did require me to stamp it twice each time because I didn't get quite down to the bottom. I was being a little bit, I was erring on the side of caution to prevent from getting any of that ink onto the images I want to color. So on the second time around, it was perfect. And on the third panel, I was able to take off that coloring image and just stamp it one time. And that is one of my favorite things about Versaclear ink, is that almost every time you get a perfect, luscious stamp or stamping first time out the door, except for when you're being cautious, right? All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. This is not a crime and coloring video, and it is Monday. We finished 50 states and Washington, D.C. Finally, it took 52 episodes because one state I cut into 2 episodes because it was a long story. We traveled back in time. We talked about some really odd and interesting and infamous crimes that occurred in the early days of each state and sometimes clear back into the territory time. I have not quite figured out what I want to do for season 2 of Crime and Coloring. I've had a number of suggestions. One of the suggestions was to spotlight maybe the first known serial killer of every state. Theoretically, every state has one. I mean, The rule is you have to kill 3 people in the same way to be classified as a serial. Is that the rule? I don't know. That's the Criminal Minds rule, but you know. I also had the thought of maybe doing some unsolved mysteries. I know a couple of our cases were technically classified as unsolved. I also had thoughts on maybe doing missing persons or kidnappings that were mysterious. Back to the card right here. In order to take your card panel off your sticky mat, bend the sticky mat, not the card panel. Then your card panel lays flat. Also, because I stamped each of these coloring images twice, I heat set them with my heat tool because I didn't want that to smear. Now, my color palette is a true box of crayons. I have a pink, a red, an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue, a purple. I have a beige color and a dark gray that I am coloring all of these images with. And I left that in there so you could jot down those colors if you wanted. And I'm going to zoom through the coloring and we're going to talk about that a little bit. You will notice, or maybe you didn't, that I chose one marker for each color family. And I'm still going to show you how you can color with one color and add some simple dimension, which is key when you're mass producing. When you are sitting down to make more than 1 or 2 of the same card, and it is an image that you want to color, sometimes you have to pick your battles. Sometimes you want to really go in depth in the coloring and add lots of contrast. And sometimes you want it to be, as I did in this case, dimension without the work. So we're going to talk a little bit when I get all done coloring all of these school supplies, how we can create some dimension with very little work. Anyways, back to crime and coloring. I haven't really decided which of the areas I want to focus in for season 2. They're all fabulous. And maybe that means we have lots of seasons of crime and coloring. But I have decided that I will not start them again until after Labor Day because my kids start school this week. And in a couple of weeks, I'm flying back out west to my sister's wedding. My youngest sister is getting married, and I am taking a little vacay from mommy duties to go out to my sister's wedding. My husband's going to take a week off work, and he is going to be stay-at-home dad and handle all of the things. Also, I get to see one of my besties for a couple of days, which I'm so excited about. I haven't seen her in a hot minute. And maybe even another one of my besties. So, fingers crossed that the stars align and all of our travel plans can just flow right together. It'd be so wonderful. Anyway, for that reason, I have decided that Crime and Coloring's next season will start, I don't know if it will be Memorial Day Monday or the Monday after. It depends how much research I get done before I leave for my sister's wedding, because she is getting married at the end of August. Well, the 3rd week of August. So, if you have any inklings as to which of these categories you would like to have next for this next season of Crime and Coloring, leave me a comment down below. Tell me which fascinates you more. Tell me which fascinates you the least. Another category is arsons. Okay, back to the card. Here's how we're going to add some shadows. I have pulled out a T2. This is a very light gray. And I'm just putting a line of that gray marker down the left-hand side of each of the implements, or the school supplies here. On the red and the purple, I have to go in with that T6 that I used on the pencil and the highlighter on the end over there. And then I have to go back over the top of that with the red and the purple again, because they are such dark colors. But for the rest of them, I was able to use that T2 and add just a little bit of shadow right on the left edge. On the blue pens, I did have to add a little bit more blue to the first one just to make it blend a little bit, because The lighter the color, the more blending solution is in it, and sometimes it will push the pigment around. So I did have to kind of play with that on the blues and the green. But yeah, so that is the easiest way to add shadowing to all of your simple coloring designs. Now I colored all 3 images. I did edit that out because it was more the same. I just changed up the colors a little bit. And here is my trick for when you are not coloring your neatest. Get a white gel pen. Get a white gel pen and go around the edges where you went outside the lines. And if you happen to go over the black line, take a black pen and go back over the top of it. If anybody notices and they have the nerve to say something about it, well, then they don't get any more of your beautiful homemade cards. I'm just saying. I did decide to trim all of these panels down. They started out at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I trimmed them down to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And that is mostly because I didn't get the lines of the stamp right at the edge of that paper, and this is an easy way to fix that. Plus, I kind of like having a border on my cards. Now, I am going to put them onto top folding, landscape style A2 size card bases that are white. And off camera, and I say off camera because I did it on camera, but I forgot to zoom out so you really couldn't see it. Off camera, I have stamped 3 sub-sentiments from this stamp set onto black cardstock in white ink and heat embossed it with white embossing powder. Heat embossing has been like the gateway drug for many paper crafters, and I am also in that category. I love heat embossing. I am going to use some double-sided adhesive and put these card panels down on the front of, like I said, landscape style USA 2 size cards. Sorry, I'm trying to not have a coughing fit in the middle of all of the chit-chat about the cards because I'm telling you, we hit North Dakota on our trip back home and my allergies went nuts. I did not need my allergy meds the whole time I was out west, and then boom, North Dakota, and here we're done. But there you have it, an easy way to create multiple cards with a little dimension and some simple coloring. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I have a couple of other videos here I think you will like. I've also added a subscribe button. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you did. Leave me a comment down below. What are we talking about next? And I hope you have a really happy, pleasant, wonderful day.